And we are live for the other game in round one here for this Saturday afternoon tournament in the Artisans Leagues between Mod Glogan on the blue team and Natural Selection on the red. I'm not quite sure what the bans were for maps or if they occurred, but where we're headed is Cursed Hollow, which is where the last game ended. So we can revisit how two completely other teams handle this, I guess, vanilla ice cream of Heroes of the Storm maps. It's got a little bit of everything. Nobody hates it. Some people kind of like it. Some people really like it. But we're not here to talk about ice cream. We're here to talk about HOTS. And so what we're going to talk about is how Mod Glogan selected the map, and Natural Selection have started to ban Dahaka, prompting Mod Glogan to take Falstad away, just taking two globals totally out of contention. Again, giving Genji to Natural Selection. And if this Genji works out anything like the previous Genji on Seraphim, then this should be a very rapid game if he can get the right supporting cast. But clearly knows the potential, and Natural Selection want to make sure they get an opportunity to do that early. Anubarak and Uther, the picks for Mod Glogan. Trying to get the lockdown, and that is a great tool to dealing with a out of control Genji, is just putting the brakes on him, stopping him in place, and giving your team a chance to finally put some damage on him. And Asmodean and Diva, the picks for Natural Selection as we head into the bans. And I have absolutely no idea how those are going to perform. Diva is another one of those heroes that so I play Warrior for my team. For my team, Something Heroic, and it is a mystery to me how to make Diva work. I'm doing, I think, all the things wrong, but I know that all the things can be done right because I've seen other Divas very successful. So hopefully for Natural Selection, that's one of theirs. Next round of bans are Gazlo and Greymane. And I wonder if that Gazlo ban... I guess that that is a good way to deal with an Abathur. If you already know you're picking Abathur, making sure that your Locusts and slightly enhanced waves aren't just going into turrets. That's a good thing to deal with. And a Chen pickup from Mod Glogan, and I am absolutely thrilled to see Chen back in action. It's been such a long time, and I really hope that just turns on. But critically, Mod Glogan have Anubarak, Chen, Uther, and Abathur, and they've got really no damage, like, at all, like, on their team. They've got maybe three of, like, the bottom 25% damage dealers in their first three picks, and then Abathur. So I've got to assume they're just going absolute ham on somebody just nuts. Like, Greymane's off the table, but maybe like, shoot, I don't know, like an Illidan maybe? I honestly have no idea what this pick is, but Diablo Lucio is going to round out the team for Natural Selection. So they've got pretty good spread of sort of like your most varied selection of people. And going with an assassinless comp for Mod Glogan, they're just going to look to be absolutely unkillable, which may really hamper the ability for Genji. And come to think of it, he is the only assassin on the board. Double tank for Natural Selection. Asmodean can pour out some damage, but this is really just going to be a game about positioning and space. It's not about let's point all our abilities at this person and just make them die. This is going to be a chess match of heroes, and there's a lot to see here. So let's get right into it.
Prepare yourself for battle, heroes. The battle begins in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, what are you waiting for? Heroes. Hero slain. Your team has destroyed a fort.
Managing to I have been muted this whole time. That is absolutely the worst. I hate me. I hate me so much. Hi everybody, welcome to Heroes of the Storm. My name is Terraspaz. I'm your caster, and for the next section of the game, you'll be able to hear me. Oh, I am terribly sorry about that, but we are continuing to brawl here, and we'll get another gravity well from Zarya. Damage comes pouring in, and everybody's just at critical health except for Uther, who's just having a nice, lovely, fine day. Ariga's trying to take out Chen. He's got critical damage on him. He's going to fall Simlord too. But LA will be able to complete the channel, and Mod Glogan once again able to just hang on and deliver just enough damage to make this work. Stukrab able to get away, K-Mouse with the rotation, but Abathur continuing to do Abathur things. Just having a living the slug life. And it's kind of a scattered place on the map right now. No one's really grouped up enough to affect anything real strongly. Lanes are pushed pretty far onto natural selection side of the map, so unless Mod Glogan is really looking to really push something and inflict some damage, there's really not much for him to do at the moment. Gosh dang, mute button. I'm really annoyed by that. But anytime, no time for regrets. This is a massive tribute, as it's going to be spawning up in the top lane, 2 tributes aside for this. Level 13 talents almost available for natural selection. They do have it, they do claim it. They're able to get the isolation onto Saba, but he should be able to jump out of there no problem. He does get to safety, and just a lot of brawling, a lot of scrapping. We get the gravity well on Azmodan, but Bro Shield deployed by Lucio to sort of negate any damage that might have done. Damage fairly high onto Diablo. He is going to fall. Soul's not available this time, so he's going to have to wait and time out just like everybody else. Meanwhile, the mech will get taken down as well. I don't think the pilot's going to be able to escape, able to get a couple parting shots. So a 2 for nothing in favor of Mod Glogan, and this is going to be a curse for them. With lanes pushed fairly far in both top and mid, so they've got some options, and one of those options is to just invade and kill Azmodan. So they're going to be in a really strong position for the next 10 to 15 seconds with only 3 members there to defend. And again, no one has a lot of explosive burst damage, and it's going to be real hard to stop this just almost indestructible Mod Glogan team from doing from at least inflicting some damage, and they will certainly get this keep. here in the mid lane. Self-destruct about halfway charged for Alpine. Middle fort collapses for natural selection. Minions at the door of the keep in the top lane. A lot of damage coming down onto Melter. He's going to escape. Similar trying to get back to the Hall of Storms. Can't quite do it. Core taking some damage here, but Uther being taken down, and Core not terribly low, down to 60%. Can natural selection hang on to this? Black Pool's deployed. That is going to be a big source of damage for K-Mouse. Core down to 40%. Curse is over. Self-destruct is deployed. I don't know if Arigas can get out of this. Doesn't matter. He's on the same team. He's not going to take any damage anyway. Core now down to 14%. This fight is taking far too long. Chen punching and brawling. Can they stop him? Down to 2. And Abathur with the slap to victory, able to close out game 1 for Glogan. You know, I know you missed like half of what I was saying before because I muted my mic, but even if you had, like, Abathur had to have just been pulling a massive amount of weight in that game. And it was all unseen. It was never like on the action, but you could see it in the level spikes. You could see it in the ability for Glogan to just ball up somewhere and push and not fall behind. And so absolute credit to the Abathur of that game. That was absolutely stunning. But we're not done. We've got a game 2 coming up, so we'll set up the lobby for that, and we'll get with you in just a bit. Stay tuned. We are live. Loaded into the draft for Game 2 here in this best of 3 series. Natural selection now on the blue team, and Mod Glogan on the red. After a really just commanding win for Mod Glogan in number 1, we'll see what they want to bring to Infernal Shrines, which has a lot of the same characteristics as in terms of mat space and the presence you need to really take an objective, if the other team is present. Camps are pretty close. There's a lot of the same strategies will be here, so but there's enough differences that maybe this is where natural selection just feels the most comfortable. Once again, we see the double global bans from the Haka and Falstad. And we see a first pick Ariel for Mod Glogan, which requires a few things. It requires one of a few different things. You got to have a battery for Ariel, and as first pick, it's not totally impossible to snag Cho'Gall here. And they would be in the position to do it right here before the bans drop, but we've got Uthra and Genji for the side of natural selection, and there's Cho'Gall. Just the absolute big bad battery for Ariel that's going to be extremely challenging for natural selection to stop and deal with. And the previous game, Mod Glogan showed that they were able to really just start slamming out value from forming a big ball and pushing hard somewhere, rather than maintaining a small presence across the map in different lanes. But we'll see how natural selection elects to deal with this. They do have plenty of picks to go, so they're by no means limited on tools to deal with this. But after the previous game, no huge surprise, banning Abathur from natural selection just did an absolute obscene amount of damage that game. And if the plan is ball up somewhere and just stick an Abathur on the map, then that's I think they're trying to combat a different plan this time. But Gazlo the ban from Mod Glogan. I haven't seen Gazlo in play in a while, but if you can get a good sense of where if you can be in position to start setting up turrets before the shrine actually becomes active, then that can really give you a very strong advantage, with vision and continual damage, both to enemy heroes, and I'm pretty sure they target the Shrine Guardian Protector dudes as well. A lot of time coming out from natural selection, trying to figure out how they're going to respond to this Cho'Gall Ariel bombshell that Mod Glogan have deposited onto the map. And they've selected Anubarak and Raynor, and I really like those picks. Anubarak has like an almost 100% chance of picking Cocoon here to just turn Cho'Gall off for a while, which means that Mod Glogan's going to need some more damage to help chew through that and free him. Otherwise, he's just going to be sitting there, and Ariel will fairly quickly be called off. And nobody says damage quite like Butcher, with guttural growls and grunts and, I don't know, claims of meat. Also, it's been a while since I've seen Raynor in a game, but his giant killer should still be, I don't know if it's baseline now or if it's still a pretty high talent, but definitely a tool useful for dealing with Cho'Gall. Have to have someone, almost. And so with this, I may not be that surprised if natural selection decides to pick somebody else with giant killer. I mean, he represents such a threat that I don't know. Maybe that's too much overkill. Maybe you still need some way to protect your team from Butcher and company. It's a tough spot. There's a lot of priorities, so many heroes would be reasonable picks here, and Tassadar's a pretty good one. Just able to trap and detain people, able to save people from that burst. And we'll see how things shakes out. Also able to preserve himself very well. Press a button and you're no longer ruthless onslaughted. press a button and you aren't grabbed by Chagall's underground big death cone. But we'll see how this shakes out. Mod Glogan leading 1-0, trying to close out this best of 3, and Natural Selection looking to get their foot in the door for round 3. And we are live, loaded into Infernal Shrines for Game 2 of this best of 3. On the blue side for Natural Selection, we've got Artisans on Genji, K-Mouse on Tassadar, Alpine on Raynor, Simlord on Anubarak, and Mystic Shroud on Uther. And on the red team for Mod Glogan, we've got Saba on Cho, Stu Crab on Gaul, Magus on Alarak, Nailter on Ariel, and LA on the Butcher. Gates are down, teams are headed straight along into the Maw. And it's going to be all up in mid until Mod Glogan comes around in the back, tries to go in hard. Can't quite get the engagement they want, but Sav Crab looking to just pour out some damage from the Merc Camp spawn and just nuke out this fountain very quickly. That bouncing ball should do it. We do see a lot of damage coming out from Alarak, and Natural Selection just not quite sure how to engage this Mod Glogan team. I mean, most games I've played in Gold, teams tend to have a brawl here in mid until the first minion wave spawns, and then people kind of go soak top, soak mid, and so it's unusual if you're not used to it, understanding, well shoot, the other team's not doing that. They're just below our mid fort throwing damage at it. What are we supposed to do? It's an unusual situation that a lot of teams haven't necessarily seen, and so it's hard to communicate what the correct response is going to be. In fact, that seems to be the order of the day. Just have Chagall in a place to just punch out damage onto something and do so largely uncontested. But we see the rotation come down from Natural Selection. Doesn't look like it's going to be quite enough as Ariel and Chagall both get to safety. Meanwhile, in the mid, Genji and Butcher start duking it out. Both folks very safe. Butcher probably doesn't have a whole lot of stacks yet. So the threat is not completely absurd, but it's probably getting there. Shrine active in the top lane. Teams rotating to get there, except for Butcher, who looks like he's just going to hang out in the mid lane. So we're going to see Ariel, Chagall, and Alarak look to just zone out Natural Selection and extend this phase of the game as long as possible. But a huge engagement coming from Natural Selection to take down Alarak, and that is the engagement that Natural Selection is looking for. The damage comes out big and hard onto Ariel. Is Nailter going to be able to escape? Yes, and so that is going to give Natural Selection the chance to break through and finally start cleaning up some of these minions. We do see Butcher rotating to the mid lane, continuing to extend Mod Glogan's experience lead. Giant Killer not active yet for Alpine, but nonetheless a lot of damage coming out onto Sav Crab. Is Genji going to be able to escape? Yes, able to swift strike his way to safety. And for all that, not a whole lot of minions gone yet. Butcher still continuing to lade, continuing to get experience. And just a lot of damage pouring out of this Mod Glogan trio of pain. Natural Selection at very low health, trying to find an in route, but it's hard to commit to going in hard when your health pool isn't that high. So Mod Glogan continuing to poke and prod and chunk out minion after minion. Tastar trying to scoop up some, but K-Mouse able to get to safety. Not quite in danger yet. We do see Aurigas going in hard, trying to get some damage in and get out. And here comes the full commitment from Natural Selection. It does cost them Tassadar and Genji, and probably similar too. So not quite what they were looking for. Butcher continuing to get value down in the bottom lane. And is Mystic Shroud going to be able to escape? Oh, that last whip from Nailter and that final auto attack is just the nail in the coffin. We see Cho'Gall continuing to put himself in position to hit both the shrine, or not the shrine, the fountain and the fort, and just leave the rest of the cleanup to his team. And so this is a rough place to be. Punisher active in the top lane, Border Punisher with a 2-level lead. Raynor here by himself to defend. Alpine trying to shoot down what he can, but Mag is able to just absolutely gobble him up and put him directly into harm's way. And this fort is certainly not long for this world, but Mod Glogan looking to find some more. Punisher at about half health, 3-level lead, and level 7 talent advantage for Mod Glogan. Punisher does fall. No further takedowns on the side of Natural Selection. Mod Glogan looking to back out, or I don't know. Can't tell if they're trying to re-engage or back out. They're at fairly high health. They can continue to apply pressure and really enable Butcher here. I mean, they're getting some damage down onto the keep here, getting the takedown onto an Uberak, but really the true victory is probably happening here in mid as Butcher's continuing to double soak and just put stacks up to the sky. Heroics on the line for Mod Glogan, level 7 talent, almost active for Natural Selection. And this is a really rough spot for Natural Selection. It's just so far back. The keep is not long for this world. We do see Sabcrab taking a lot of damage here. Not a bunch of hope for Nailter yet, so if they can get the engagement, Natural Selection might be able to get the takedown on the big bad Cho'Gall. But not quite. Once again, he will survive for another day. But health total that big means it's really hard to refill it. Oh, Genji just barely able to escape. Genji tagging out for an Uberak. An Uberak comes in. Those stuns should be able to put him in position long enough to soak up some damage, and they do get the takedown on Cho'Gall and start turning this around. But Cho'Gall back in action in 2 seconds as Ariel with the Resurrect turns the damage up to 11 as Cho'Gall just bullies people back to their back to Hall of Storms. Doesn't get the takedown yet. Alarak with the re-engagement, able to take out Raynor. And with that 11-8 advantage in levels, Mod Glogan does retreat and reposition themselves for the next objective, it appears. Instead, Butcher coming in here in the top lane, looking to, I don't know, chunk damage. They're looking to go core already? It's awfully soon, but if they got the power, they got the power. And Alarak not present for the fight. Furnace Blast does deal a lot of damage to Simlord and Mystic Shroud. Get the 1-for-1 exchange. Definitely helps Natural Selection in this spot, but Cho'Gall, Ariel, all that's standing in between Natural Selection and escape from the shattered remains of their top keep, and they've been here for a very long time. Mod Glogan just putting up a wall that demands a response. Takedown onto Uther, so it's a 5 against 3 with catapults at the core. Heroics finally online for Natural Selection, and looks like that is Mod Glogan's cue to leave. There's a lot of damage that can be done with Cocoon, and an Uberak is in play. But everybody in place for the fight at mid-fort for Natural Selection. Uther on the way. Genji able to get just safety. K-Mouse should be able as well. Cocoon is popped onto Cho'Gall, but he's back and very mad and just deletes Raynor in just an absolute explosion. And Mod Glogan just continuing to march, continuing to apply pressure. Engagement coming down on the Mystic Shroud. Ellie going absolute ham. The stun actually should be enough to get the takedown onto Ellie. Can they finish? Yes. As well as Ariel. So a 2 for nothing so far, a 3 for nothing. As Genji goes absolute ham once again. Cho'Gall by himself. And I mean, the board state's in a pretty dismal spot, but this is how a turnaround would look for Natural Selection. They get the full team wipe. And now they have to figure out what to do with it. They've got about 30 seconds before Cho'Gall comes back, probably about 40 seconds before he's onto the map proper. And unfortunately, they have to monitor lanes. Their top keep is gone. Catapults are already at their door. Mid keep is on death's door, but critically not spawning catapults now. So they take the top Merc camp in order to give them some relief there in the top lane. Merc camps will keep those catapults at bay for a while. And that should give them enough time to take down a lot of these minion waves. Not minion waves, Punisher Guardians. Butcher very far forward, pops his ultimate, Ruthless Onslaught interrupted, Furnace Blast doesn't hit anybody. And so far things look pretty good for Natural Selection. Can Mystic Shroud get out of there? Stun's active. Somehow Raynor gets taken out and all that. I think Alarak and Cho'Gall were up there in the top, and so it appears that lightning isn't going to strike twice, and maybe it will. They get the takedown onto Butcher, but he is in the process of being resurrected. He's back in action and turning his sights onto Tassadar, finishing him. And I don't know what it would take to get there, but Natural Selection needs a large miracle